Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Energy. Minister, despite massive public opposition to your plan to sell Hydro One, you seem unwilling to change your direction and provide Ontarians with the information they have every right to. Your government claims to be open and transparent, but the way you've conducted this sell-off of the crown jewel of our electricity system has shown that your words are empty and hollow. Minister, you're nearing Damascus. You still have a chance to redeem yourself. Will you commit to the people of Ontario, the actual owners of Hydro One, to hold off on this fire sale so that they can thoroughly examine this deal and render their judgment at the ballot box?
Thank you. Minister of Energy.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, they did render their judgment at the ballot box. We won the last election on the basis of repurposing our assets, Mr. Speaker. In terms of information, Mr. Speaker, the opposition, the public, in fact, Mr. Speaker, has been provided a 320-page prospectus, which actually sets out more detail than anybody has ever seen, Mr. Speaker, with respect to Hydro One. We actually are going through estimates, Mr. Speaker, where every dollar that's been spent in the ministry is under review and analysis by the opposition. Much of that has to do with the preparation and lead-up, Mr. Speaker, to the Hydro One project. Ed Clark, Chair of the Assets Committee, has made himself available for extensive media interviews, Mr. Speaker, and answered all the questions 5 or 6 times, Mr. Speaker, in the minutest detail. We have been sharing information. People knew that it was part of our agenda, and we're implementing a mandate that we have, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, for the minister to imply that they received a mandate to sell Hydro One in the 2014 election just shows how hopelessly arrogant this government has become. Minister, the only reason you're going to sell put Hydro One in the auction block is because the Premier has maxed out the provincial credit cards, and she can't pay for infrastructure the way that every other Premier before her paid for infrastructure. That's why the people of Ontario universally—
Stop the clock. Order. Finish, please.
Speaker, that's why the people of Ontario universally oppose their plan to sell Hydro One. It does not pass the smell test. If it did, they would have campaigned vigorously on it during the 2014 general election. But they didn't, because they knew it would be a bad deal for Ontario ratepayers. Minister, if you're not willing to hold off in this fire sale, will you at least heed the call of our leader and the opposition? Release all the reports and financial analysis to justify your dismantling of this vital public asset.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the member mentions the level of spending for infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, I indicated in an earlier answer that that government averaged $2 billion per year investment in infrastructure over the last 3 or 4 years of their term. We have been investing $11.5 billion, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to the electricity sector, Mr. Speaker, they left us with a deficit of electricity, Mr. Speaker. They left us with a deficit, declining amount of generation and transmission, Mr. Speaker, and we had to invest $34 billion to fix the mess that they left us with, Mr. Speaker.